Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Power Arc. Today, we're back with another Casual Geographic. The reality of being a small cat. Okay. I know there's a bunch of small cats, like the palace cat, um, sand cat, fishing cat. I know there's a bunch of small cats. And a bunch, and most of the time they go overlooked because it's big cats and stuff like that. So interested to see with look at the smaller cats. Is he wearing Don Don shirt? I'm pretty sure he's wearing Don Don shirt. Okay. That's link to the original video will be in the description below. And let's get started.
If you go outside, right? You go outside and you don't find a cat there. You have not gone outside. You've gone to or the poles, which is the same thing, just frozen over. From the desolate dunes of the Sahara to the
It's the North
wilds of
version.
Houston, Texas, cats have colonized virtually every aspect of this planet. There is no animal that's gotten more mileage out of humanity just by being itself, and you can tell, because where wolves would have treated us like the plague if they knew pugs were down the line, 99% of people can't tell which cat belongs in a pet store. Thanks for unpausing. It's none of them. And believe it or not, that might just be what kills them. Because 99 is also the percent of wildcat funds that have gone to tigers, jaguars, and other big cats. Big cats are like the football flex of a D1 school. They'll never not have funds for new uniforms and infinite DoorDash. Meanwhile, engineers sleep in bedbug-infested abandoned bomb shelters. The other cats are so cute it kills them, because most of the public is impressed about the population of something that looks like you can find it in an animal shelter. One cat might already be in the genetic gulag because of it. So this video is about the small cats, for their sake and yours, because no one ever said there were too many cat videos. Pure Spite already made me talk about the difference, but the short version is, big cats are cats that can roar. Somehow snow leopards slid by.
Damn.
Basically, a modified highway bone is what gives big cats the ability to evacuate your bowels. So whenever someone tries to argue cheetahs, I just let the cheetahs speak for themselves. Because vocal Viagra to a bird watcher does not a big cat make. Cheetahs are built like the work of a malicious genie. They wanted to be the fastest so bad, now they speed run through life. Being the fastest thing on legs gives them a respectable success rate. But that success gets nerfed when about 10% of their kills gets taxed by lions, leopards, and especially a predatory laugh track. And unlike leopards, their claws and conflicts are both non-retractable, so cheetahs can't even do the cat thing and climb from their problems. We used to think cheetahs ran so fast their brains overheat after, when really, it's the stress of knowing they're a main character visit away from having concepts for dinner. Or maybe it's the anxiety of their last hookup possibly being a blood relative, since the spotted doormat survived not one, but two major bottleneck events, largely by keeping it in the family royal style, which is why the current cheetah gene pool is more like a puddle and not even yeast is that inbred. Cheetahs are so anxious that many in zoos have emotional support dogs to serve as role models for the high-strung balls of evolutionary apprehension. Basically, seeing their dogs stay calm helps keep the cheetahs chill, and even gives them the confidence to do things like make more cheetahs. But as easy as it is to dunk on cheetahs, it's really not their fault. Being faster than the speed of light has a ceiling when you live in darkness, and the cheetah is essentially an overgrown high-speed house cat in the shadow of lions and leopards. But cheetahs do get props for fully committing to speed with the aforementioned non-retractable claws, ridiculous lung capacity, a flexible spine that makes the scoliosis in mind scream, and even a built-in tail rudder for steering that honestly looks like antelope aimbot. Plus, they'll always have my respect as arguably the most underappreciated single mothers in nature, especially since male cheetahs often reject paternity to go run with the boys, with males forming coalitions to hunt and travel in. So while I don't approve of exotic pets in like any form, if there's one predator begging to go the way of the wolf, I'd have to vote for the Ferrari feline. The serval took what the cheetah did for speed, but for jumping. The serval's been called.
I could see in 10,000 years cheetahs being domesticated. I don't see that as a impossibility.
Of the Frankencat for looking like it was assembled at a lost and found. It got ears so big that I probably could convince you that this isn't a filter. Each ear can rotate 180 degrees.
I thought that was real. Okay.
species independently, and wearing a Mickey Mouse headset means they can pinpoint the proverbial needle in the less than proverbial haystack. But it also means they file a noise complaint every time someone thinks for themselves. I wrote like 9 more ear jokes, but surely he's heard them all before. Besides, it's far more freaky that servals have the longest legs relative to body size of any cat. And once you see it, like anti-fascists, you'll never not see it. It's what gives servals what many call any cat. And once you see it, like anti-fascists, you'll never not see it. It's what gives servals what many call video game bounce, as they can leap up to 12 feet in the air. But it also makes the ones that come in all black look like a cryptid. They're one of the most efficient cat hunters, with a success rate of about 50%. They're also efficient at conflict resolution.
That's beautiful. Oh, fuck. Okay, that's
they'll
beautiful.
aggressively emote while they'll size each other up while placing a paw on the rival's chest. It usually doesn't escalate to violence, just a stare-off where the winner stays standing and the loser eventually retreats. How to figure out who is beyond me, and if you bring one into your home, expect de-escalation aimed at your cat. Many don't stop at if, with folks mixing a serval and a domestic together to make a savannah cat. Not unlike the pug, I can't say I approve of them as a concept, but I guess it's better than people playing house with an actual wild serval. Doing it with a non-domesticated nope makes even less sense. I've seen many videos of a caracal in someone's house, but not one where he seemed happy about it. The caracal is also called the desert lynx, but let's be real, we all know him as Floppa, named appropriately after their ears. It's still up for debate what's the actual purpose of the pigtails. Some say it's to mimic insects and therefore catfish hunting birds, or to blend into the surrounding tall grass. But the theory I'm going with is having graduation tassels on the ears is for nonverbal communication with other caracals, where they can sidestep or invite social interaction with just a swipe of an ear. Because whenever you see something questionable in nature, the safe bet is to assume somehow baby making's involved. They have 20 muscles in those ears, and like a serval, can move them around to eavesdrop on prey like a satellite. Caracals are the coyotes of cats. Against a bigger cat, they're cooked. But turns out, caracals are much better at city living than them. With Cape leopards getting 404'd by humans, the caracal has become the apex predator of the Cape Peninsula, shout out to Cape Town, which is a big problem for one particular bird. The caracal also has turbo thrusters for legs, and the sky limit becomes high enough to be a hazard to flying birds. So the worst thing you can do is show them one that can't fly. Caracals moving into the urban has also introduced them to colonies of Cape Town penguins in the thousands. It's like a fat kid in a cake store, and they act accordingly. One caracal managed to spend a year in the colony as a fugitive, murking an estimated 260 penguins before eventually getting caught. This literal hissy fit is an accomplished predator, and for some reason, a popular pet. But the tsunderes might be the New Yorkers of cats that communicate in aggression even when they're calm. But like the serval, the caracal is better as an air toll to birds than an ouch on your couch. If the serval and caracal have a lot in common, it's because they share lineage, and they also share it with the African golden cat, a cat very few people have ever seen. They're found only in the rainforests of Central and West Africa, and they look like a caracal nature tried redrawing strictly from memory. The lynx left behind is one of the least studied cats on Earth, and not for a lack of trying. Leila Bahaeldin spent 4 years attempting to find an African golden cat, and in total she found one. By accident. It's less impressive that she spent 1,400 days waiting on a cat, more so that she didn't drop her camera and fumble the first chance she got. I know I would have. It's likely this incognito cat is a result of them sharing an area code with leopards. Studies found that golden cats will actively switch to smaller prey if they happen to be in the hunting territory of a leopard. There's also the Asian golden cat of Asia. It looks like a travel-sized type
never guessed that.
and has the nickname yellow leopard. They were actually named after Dutch zoologist Conrad Jacob Denmink. Well, my condolences, Conrad, but I'm not saying all that again. So that's an Asian golden.
That was funny. Okay, hold on.
Jacob Denmink. Well, my condolences, Conrad, but I'm not saying
Well, condolences, Conrad.
all that again. So that's an Asian golden. They share a name.
That's gonna be a name of one of my D&D character, D&D NPCs now, Conrad.
But their ancestors split up millions of years ago, and they're not even each other's closest cousins. We also have the African wildcat. To be fair, he is. There's also the Asiatic and European wildcat. And fun fact, the European wildcat's scientific name is how the Looney Tunes Sylvester got his. If you have a pet cat, though, direct your gratitude to the African variety, as they're the ancestor of yours. About 10,000 years ago, the African wildcat domesticated itself in the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East. You see, when humans were nomads, there wasn't much care for a cat, but once we switched to farming, the mouse-murking whiskered one became an asset, and just like that, the cat secured arguably the best possible job for itself. And since the cats barely had to change their playbook, the African wildcat is a dead ringer for something you'd find in the average American house, which is a big problem for the other wildcat, The European cat can also be confused for a kennel jockey, at least until you take them home, as European wildcats are notoriously impossible to have as pets.
Damn.
Naturalist Francis Pitt didn't buy the untrainable label and attempted to hand raise one named Satan. Satan was like an indoor derecho that gave Francis an experience befitting his name. Wildcats don't just dislike humans. European wildcats
And Sony.
I'm looking for some old friends. Theote 6.
I thought we killed your whole family.
Well,
I will.
bye.
domestics have been avoiding each other for about 2,000 years. But by the 60s, the wildcat population flirted with zero, which likely led to them and domestics pumping hybrids out. It's kind of like how wolves were once so down bad that they settled for coyotes and now we got coy wolves. Except with European wildcats, the effort succeeded in polluting the pure wildcat gene pool, with very few of them left. They've nearly literally screwed themselves out of existence. And good luck rallying support when the average person sees its doppelganger on their yard every day. There's also the Asian wildcat, also known as a desert or steppe cat. Same story as the other two, except there's something inexplicably satisfying about this one. Maybe it's the sand coat seasoned with marks to help break up its outline. Their existence is proof that I could never cut it as a cameraman. Put this in my sight, I would lose all professionalism and likely my lips as I pss myself out of a job. But they have nothing on the deadliest cat on the planet, which it isn't actually him. Didn't I say this wasn't a big cat video? Weighing about a bag of flour.
Yeah,
the black-footed cat is the smallest cat in Africa. It's
I
also
know about the
the
black-footed cat.
deadliest.
Okay.
They'll
Yeah.
pack up more prey in one night than a leopard will in 6 months, and they'll life deprive up to 14 animals in that night. Blackfoots might as well wear red bottoms. They have the highest kill rate of a cat, one that doubles lions, and is believed one cat can erase 3,000 rodents in 1 year. The assassin named the anthill tiger has to kill up to 20% of its body weight in prey a day just to fuel its metabolism. They have 3 ways of stacking bodies. The fast hunt, where they essentially overstimulate their prey by rushing around until they flush them out. The slow hunt, where they stalk the scenery and wait for a snack to expose itself. And the sit and wait hunt, which you don't need a description for. Another reason I'd much rather talk about animals in front of a camera than record those from behind one. I don't have the professionalism for that. Now we get to one of my favorite cats, the sand cat. As arguably the second smallest cat, they have no business being the badasses nature intended. They live in a limitless litter box that can reach 115 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, just to drop to negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Luckily, sand cats don't need water. The blood of their victims is sustenance enough. The Sahara warriors go without water longer than a camel because they get what they need from their prey, which often means leaning on their blood. Blood that washes down the venomous snakes the sandcat will headshot and eat. But the biggest headache goes to anyone trying to find them. Sandcats have furry foot pads that protect them from the scalding hot sand, but it also means that they don't leave behind footprints. Also, they spend most of the day underground and the night hunting throughout its range, with some cats covering as much as 8 miles in a little over 24 hours. But even by the grace of God, if you stumble into one, you can still blindly walk by your blessing, since sandcats will famously close their eyes at night when a human approaches, so they can't be clocked by their eye glow. So if you ever see a sandy cat in the wild, say thanks, because that's entirely the cat's discretion. They're so adapted to live in the most unlivable place ever, they actually struggle when you take them out the trenches. The same respiratory system designed for Satan's sandbox is prone to infection outside the desert. You wouldn't want one in your house anyway, since sandcats primarily communicate through golden showers, and if you know about desert animals, the smell of their urine would have them kicked out. Still one of the cats of all time. And on the other side of the spectrum is the fishing cat, not to be confused with the fisher cat, which is neither. Unlike them, the fishing cat actually earns its name. Living in places like the Sundarban mangroves in India and Bangladesh, the aqua kitty can dive and swim long distances. And they fully committed, with partially webbed feet, an aerodynamic head, and claws evolved in the form of fish hooks. Basically the fish terminator, with about 76% of a fishing cat's diet coming with gills. They spend most of their time in shallow water, wading, and they'll even flick the water surface to mimic insects in order to fool the fish. They're capable climbers too, and scientists have clocked them snatching baby birds out of nests. Fishing cats might be the feline raccoon equivalent, as they've slowly been moving into city areas of places like Sri Lanka. It's not that out of place to be walking down the street and see a feline fisher hunting in a garden pond, and some are even popping up on rooftops and in attics. Really a catastrophically, no pun intended, underrated cat. And that's actually a problem. They're vulnerable, it's just that most people don't even know they exist, so they get shafted on funding. The flat-headed cat is even less known, and honestly, they got hoed hard body. If we would have found them first, they probably would have taken the fishing title. Up to 80% of a flathead's diet can be fish, and those eyes that are almost uncomfortably close together give it perfect binocular fish flatlining vision. Dog, even their toes are more webbed than the alleged fishing cat. But this Auburn aquatic got stuck with flat-headed. Yeah, no, I'd be mad too. Maybe if they had a cuter name, more people would care about the fact they're likely Southeast Asia's most endangered cat, with less than 2,500 left in the wild. Not like the leopard cat. They're privileged enough to have two flavors: the Sunda leopard cat and the mainland leopard cat. In fact, they're the most widespread wildcat in Asia, found from India all the way to North Korea and China. Also, shout out India. They got the most types of wildcats in their country, with a record of 15. The leopard cat is also a swimmer.
Good job,
and
India.
has been known to colonize islands.
Fact that
Disgusting.
this is it also
In fact,
made it to
there's a
North
leopard
Korea
cat
though.
variant
It
that
survived
only
in
lives
North
on the
Korea.
Japanese island of Iriomote, with possibly under 100 left in existence, making it arguably the rarest wildcat. The leopard cat exists in many forms, so of course folks didn't turn it into a pet. The Bengal cat is the result of a leopard cat and a domestic mating. Apparently the creator's logic was if people could buy a cat that looked like a leopard cat, less people would buy the real thing. I don't know if I like that logic. I think there's enough cats. That being said, bro got that on. The Borneo Bay cat is a familiar situation, but instead of Iriomote, the only place he'll hypothetically find them is in Borneo. Hypothetically, because the Bay cat is basically a living theory. They've only been recorded less than 100 times in history. Between 1874 and 2004, only 12 Bay cat bodies have been studied. They straight up disappeared for 60 years, because after being discovered in 1856, by 1928, they seemingly fell off the face of the earth. That was until someone pulled up to the Natural History Museum in Sarawak in 1992 with a half-dead Bay cat. Since then, we haven't learned much. We really don't know how they hunt, what exactly they hunt, how they raise their kids, how they make their kids, or even what their niche is. There's few existing videos of this ghost of a cat. This is the best quality pic you're gonna get from a cat that dipped on reality for 6 decades like Captain America. The jungle cat is another one named out of misunderstanding or spite, since they live almost anywhere except the jungle. Also called the reed or swamp cat. You'll find them on the hunt in tall grasses, swamps, reed beds, dry open forests, but never a jungle, of course, where they're an all-around athletic flex of a Furby. They can air snatch birds, climb trees, catch fish.
Why did music go dark?
Swimming up to a mile. They usually grief mice and fowl, but will also pack up cobras, sometimes even gazelle. In the country of 1,000 cats, jungle cats are the most common one in India. And just remember,
fucking just folded a fucking cobra. Okay, damn, cat, you're scary.
Remember, you're more likely to find one on a university campus in Bangladesh than anywhere near a jungle. Now, what y'all know about the marbled cat? It's a pint-sized monkey of a cat somewhere in the forest shadowed by the Himalayas, where the marbled cat has been found as high as 12,500 feet, or almost 17 Golden Gate Bridge towers above sea level. It's another one of those cats you only ever run into by accident, since the marble cat spends almost its entire life in the trees, moving like a 1.5-foot predatory spider cat, where they likely inflict all manners of PTSD on the primates they prey to prey on. Ironically, the less than 10-pound marble cat almost stole itself a spot with the big cats, with them once considered panthers. And now, we get to one of my favorite cats of all time. Look at this dude. The clouded leopard is like a cat forgotten by time, an animated mosaic and living relic from an era long left behind. The clouded leopard is considered the missing link between big cats and not big cats, mostly because, like cheetahs, they talk themselves out of the big cat spot.
I love clouded leopards. Clouded leopards are so cute. You're not. Get the fuck off my screen.
That is an apex predator.
Yes.
One that's about 3 feet long. I swear I thought they were jaguar sized as a kid, but that's probably because the first time I ever heard of one, it was trying to turn the rugrats into baby coffins. They are the closest thing to a modern day saber-toothed tiger. Not by DNA, but by virtue of having the longest canines relative to body size of any cat. Like the leopard cat, the clouded leopard has a Sunda and mainland variant. While this photogenic fossil has never attacked a human, they're a threat to literally everything else. And with ankles that can rotate, and not just in the Gordon Hayward way, they can climb down trees head first like a squirrel, or upside down, because when you're apex, you just start trying shit. They're even a danger to each other. They're one of the hardest cats to breed because males often kill their mates in the process. Less than 20% of cloud cats in captivity are successful at mating, making them the panda of cats. But if you were expected to drop trowel and make a beast with 2 backs with a complete stranger in a room full of voyeurs, you'd be less than cooperative too. It doesn't matter the size or the looks they serve, a cat of any kind is a savage to his core. And look no further than this guy. The rusty spotted cat is called the hummingbird of cats, and they're another one that could spawn in a pet store and no one would blink. That is until it murks everyone else. The rusty
Damn.
spotted is a highly skilled assassin that'll pounce on prey from the trees, and I really wish I had footage of that. 19th century T.C. Gurdon kept the paperweight predator as a pet that earned his respect by hunting the squirrels in his house. The cat earned a little more when T.C. caught it attempting to choke out a gazelle by clamping on its neck, and the cat had to be physically removed from the now surely traumatized gazelle. That doesn't change the reality that this cat would get
hold up.
if I ever had to film
Hold
one.
up.
I wouldn't have that problem with this one though. Not because
It tried to kill a gazelle. Fucking a gazelle. What kind of cat? Try to kill a gazelle. What the okay, hold on. No. Cat, you're suicidal. Okay. And then we'll get his Palace Cats.
he's not cute,
sponsor.
but because he looks terminally unenthused by life, and I don't want to add to it. The Palace cat, also called a manul, is in a perpetual state of ain't funny. They actually learn to growl before they even open their eyes. They're born beefing with life, and believe me, they have their reasons. Maybe it's because their choice of home can be negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, all the way up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit come summer. Or it might be the fact that living in God's waiting room with limited exposure to pathogens means Palace cats are highly susceptible to getting folded by disease when they leave the mountains. It's possible it's because their mating ritual involves the male just following around the female for days until she's ready, something I'm sure neither's happy about. Or it could be their scientific name being ugly-eared cat. I challenge you to find a picture of a Palace cat
Damn, science did you dirty, boy.
that looks happy. This is the closest I could get. Just a temperamental ball of laundry lint that will use its tail as a blanket and will even stand on it to warm their feet. Speaking of which, the manul is actually the size of a house cat. It's just having the densest fur of any cat gives it an adorable sleeper build. The Palace cat is notably afraid of humans and will go out of their way to avoid them, unless you feed them. You could never convince me not to love me some Palace cat. Not even a Palace cat itself. You could fix your face though. Honestly, this cat has a lot more to be mad about. The Chinese mountain cat is only found on China's Tibetan plateau, where they're very much unknown. Few of them have actually been studied, and the biggest threat to them is that most people don't even know they exist. Show this to the average person, and they'll just assume you're one of those cat people. They'd never know that there's less than 10,000 in stock, and it's all humans' fault. The Chinese mountain cat hunts with extreme pica prejudice, so when China started poisoning them, the Chinese mountain cat caught a nasty stray. Today, most of what we know about them is from captivity, and the only time we ever seem to find them is by accident. In 2018, Hong Shangshi of the Shangshi Conservation Center was studying black-necked cranes when she randomly made eye contact with a shiny Pokemon of cats, which means someone probably spent years searching for him just to get shown up by a glorified bird watcher. But if that ain't the most cat thing a cat could do. The biggest problem with being this cat is no matter how endangered you are, your death will never hit as hard as an elephant's or a panda's. Just be glad you got to see this one. There's no missing a cougar though. One, because it's a small cat that could mog some of the big ones. They vary in size and actually get bigger the further they get from the equator, but most males sit around 130 to 160 pounds. Some can clear 200, and in 1979, a hunter brought down one weighing 276 pounds. Cougars also have the most extensive range of any American animal, and a prey base of about 500. Garfield on steroids is liable to goes in Chile. Cougars are the CrossFit freaks of cats, with Olympic medaling bounce while being able to swim a mile and travel over ethical killers. They're a predator with a preference not to scavenge and would rather eat what they kill. Cougars are also way more generous than anyone thought, with many being caught sharing kills with other pumas. From 2012 to 2015 in Yellowstone, 118 interactions were recorded between at least two cougars, and 60% of these occurred at kills, and many of them involved sharing. In fact, there's a scene from Our Planet where a teenager who just left his mom attempts to steal food from a giant mountain of a male twice his size, and in a complete plot twist, the old man let the little one slide. But there's one predator that gets absolutely no love from cougars. Because mountain lions and wolves have a blood feud, where wolf packs will gang up on any lone lions, but one-on-one, mountain lions commit first degree on a wolf. But recently, there's been more of a trend of mountain lions stalking, jumping, and murking wolves on sight. Since 2013, cougars have been responsible for 30% of documented wolf deaths in Washington. Wolves also have beef with the lynx, but the wolves tend to do a lot better with that matchup. There's 4 flavors of lynx: the Eurasian lynx, Iberian lynx, Canada lynx, and the bobcat lynx. The Eurasian is like the big cat of Europe, or the closest they have to one at least. They're notoriously one of the most difficult cats to track, which is a crime with a face card like that. There's many subspecies of the Eurasian persuasion, but the
I don't know where I paused at. Okay. Shit.
Then there's the bobcat, which I learned way too late in life is just a lightweight lynx, named
Yep.
after their short, stubby, truncated tail. Is that out of pocket? Would naming this guy Toby or Robert be? You decide. Bobcats aren't just the most common wildcat in America, they have one of the longest grocery lists too. They'll hunt rabbits, birds, mice, squirrels, but will also fish for salmon and sometimes try and solo deer. One bobcat was caught dragging a shark out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Before you ask, of course it's Florida. Another was
course
caught
it's
attempting
Florida.
to bully a black bear out of food. The lynx is dangerously close to being considered the honey badger.
By the way, I paused to sneeze and about a few minutes passed by. I rewound to where I think I paused. I seen up to here, to the ocelot. That's where I got to. So I backed up. I don't know where where the last place I actually paused was to sneeze. Yeah, but yeah, cool joke been coming.
They're just a
Big
castration claim away. You know, I almost forgot to mention, the cougar also shares distant lineage with the cheetah, but its closest relative
Yeah.
is... This is a jaguarundi, or dark jaguar, even though it looks like a self-hating weasel. I feel bad for them. Because their ranges overlap, they're definitely aware of cougars, and knowing that's what your closest cousins got blessed with is like evolutionary rage.
yeah.
bro. It's like the
That's
maned wolf
pretty
and bush
bad.
dogs. Just remarkably unserious. The jaguarundi moves like an animal that should only exist in black and white film, but being built like an identity.
What the fuck? There was no ads at all. As soon as I hit record, I go back to record this ad. What the fuck?
Crisis otter actually helps them hunt without being put on a shirt themselves. The first slinky's able to slip through dense undergrowth while avoiding other cats, which they're really good at. In fact, they coined the phrase, the ocelot effect, which means if you see an ocelot, you know you won't find a jaguarundi, because the former bullies them into hiding. But apparently the biggest threat to a jaguarundi is being mid. According to researchers, the problem is they're not the biggest cat, they're not the smallest, they're not even the biggest of the smallest, they have no spots, no stripes.
They're
not
really
especially
just
dangerous,
mid.
Just a remarkably unremarkable cat. In
That
fact, a lot of times they get caught on
that head
cameras
slope
when the
though.
lensman
That head
was
slope
checking
is
for someone
wild.
else. Even their name isn't that original. I really hate that for them, because the jaguarundi's dope enough
That's
on
cute
its
as
own.
fuck,
They
though.
deserve better.
Very
Same
cute.
with the Andean mountain cat. They're endangered, and finding this cliff kitty in the wild would mean seeing in the Andes mountains as high as 12,000 feet. It's beauty that'll take your breath. That is, if the altitude leaves any left. We don't know that much about this cat, and that has to be the 6th time I've said this in this video.
It is.
And that's the problem.
7th
They
now.
also prefer death over bondage because they almost
Yeah.
refuse to survive in captivity. Every time we tried, the mountain cat retired to a was before we could learn anything.
Sad- it
making
is
it one
sad.
of the least understood cats
Sad,
on the
sad
planet.
day.
And we still can't nail down exactly how many there are. But that's also because they're constantly getting confused with the Pompous cat. The Pompous is like a video game character with multiple colorways. You ever experienced the anarchy of playing Smash Brothers with 8 Kirby's? Studying
I
the
have
Pompous
not.
is
I don't
pretty
want
much
to
the same,
experience that.
since science says there might be 5 different species of them. Might be because some argue there's only one species of Pompous cat. Just
Science
with
says
7
he's good.
subspecies too. But most agree on 5 flavors of this
Yeah.
feline. Like the mountain cat, we don't know that much about a cat that often lives where it feels like you're breathing through a straw on a treadmill. Despite what you've heard, it's actually lack of curiosity killing cats like the Andean or the Pompous. I'll throw another one at you. Joffrey's cat. Named after some French dude, so more like Geoffrey. Another problem with being a house cat is people will pick them up thinking they're a house cat without a home, only to find out at the vet, which has to be annoying. It's kind of like snatching the vertically challenged off the street and then trying to put a grown man in a
Forrest
booster seat.
Gump.
To be fair, that's the black morph version. I promise you I'd make
I-
the same
I-
mistake.
that's
Joffrey's
so
friend
good.
has also been called the salt cat because they've been seen stalking places like the salt flats of Bolivia. It's one of the most common wild felids in South America, and their color actually changes depending on where, with Joffrey's flexing a leopard colorway in the north, but wearing a silver coat in the south.
Okay.
They've also been called fishing cats, and people have seen this pet-sized cat crossing raging rivers 100 feet wide. Now, I put these 3 cats together because they honestly look like 3 stages of the same Pokemon. The ocelot looks like a Latin clouded leopard, so I stand on that principle. Even though they have the eyes that knows something's coming and knows
just
you
sitting
can't
there
stop
like,
it. Although,
"Do
given the
something."
chance, I'd probably let it happen. The ocelot's prey consists of anything that won't kill them first, including other cats. But there's one animal they seem to be friends with, and out of all the options they have, for some reason they choose opossums.
Yeah.
Ocelots and opossums have been caught casually walking around together, and this wasn't just a one-time occasion. This has happened multiple times throughout the years. They even tested this by placing fabric strips with the scent of an ocelot, one with a puma's, and some random third, and the opossums overwhelmingly preferred Ode to Ocelot. We don't know what it's about, but I'm getting shades of badger and coyote.
This is where I realized I was paused.
The Margay is like nature copied the
Okay.
Ocelot assignment, but changed a few answers. It's an anime-eyed
Nice.
paralysis demon to anything in its weight class in the trees. They also have
Nice.
ankles that can rotate 180 degrees, meaning they can free run through trees and cancel life subscriptions while hanging upside down.
Damn,
It's
okay.
a mythical tree merchant that'll use psychological warfare against their prey, because Margays will imitate the sound of their prey to lure them out. One Margay was watched mimicking the cry of a baby tamarin, apparently well enough to convince the adults to stop what they were doing and investigate. This branch will
Damn,
trigger
okay.
serotonin to anyone who isn't a bird or a monkey. But the cod is like boss music for depression, also called the guinya. It's one of the smallest cats in the world, weighing about as much as a 5-pound dumbbell. Unfortunately, not everyone thinks they're cute. To Mapuche locals, the cod was an omen of famine, disease, and even death, and would be destroyed on sight. According to legend,
No.
the cod is immune to bullets and has a habit of decapitating chickens to
No
drink their
shit.
blood,
No
which
fucking
led
way.
to a lot of farmers smoking them out of principle. Even
Damn.
though cod do them a service with free rodent control. Luckily, the cod's reputation has gotten better throughout the years. And last and certainly not least is the tiger cat, also known as the oncilla. It's like nature heard me hype the clouded leopard and a margay just to mess around and give me both. When they're not stalking the jungle floor grocery shopping, they're shacked up somewhere in a tree. It was once thought to be another version of an ocelot, until they were eventually determined to be their own thing. And in 2013, it was discovered that there's actually 2 separate species of tiger cat. But in total, it's said there's under 10,000 tiger cats left, with deforestation speedrunning the decline. And just like that, that is every small cat. Holy fuck. This
That
will
we know
be by
of, yeah,
far my
yeah.
longest video. Only cats could get that out of me. Cats are in this weird place where they're so normalized, many don't realize how close many of them are to only existing in past tense. But one way to help is just by acknowledging them. And I've done my part, so that's gonna do it for this video. Look, I'm tired, bro, so we just gonna run through this. My book, my Patreon.
Okay.
Feel like it, I don't
Respect,
really need it.
respect.
Drink water, call your parents, cat, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Hey, babies. You got 500,000 people that love yous.
Wow.
Yeah. See, you got 500,000 people that love you. Yeah.
Billy?
Say thank you.
Cute. Love it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Be sure to go check out the original video. In the comments down below, in the description down below, comment down below what you would like to see me react to in the future. And also be sure to give this video a like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you.